All right, on today's episode of the Lockdown, episode 18, we welcome Australia's leading speed and agility trainer and the media dubbed Speed King, Mr. Roger Fabri. Thanks for coming on, Rog.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite.
Mate, it's actually pretty cool because we're pretty close mates, and you're my
Yeah.
first. Well, I won't say non-athlete. I'll say non-present or current, athlete of last maybe 10 years. You're an ex-runner yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was pretty ordinary though, but I can still classify myself as an athlete.
And, how's lockdown treating you, mate? Because I can see you getting the shits a bit in the media and
Yeah,
on
yeah.
social media. How's it been
Yeah.
treating you?
Look, how's it been treating me? I think I've had a situation in my life where I have been actually locked down for a certain period of time under the Queen's orders. So I've sort of tried to learn whatever I've adapted from those skills and utilize them. I think it's somebody that suffers with depression, suffers with being down all the time, stuff that gets thrown into your face. You sort of handle them a little bit better than people that don't really have any problems ever, or I shouldn't say any problems ever. I mean, everybody's got a problem, but when you're always got adversity, or when you're trying to fight a battle and hoping for the next day to shine brightly on you, then these sort of situations I seem to handle them a little bit better. What you do see from me is I get frustrated at how other people are handling the situation. It's like they've all
Mm.
changed. They're not coping with it so well. And instead of being able to try and get on with it, they take their frustration out on other people. And that's what disappoints me.
Yeah, it's you've been lucky enough to be outdoors a lot, but I basically see you spend half your day outside.
Yeah, three
Um,
quarters of it. I am fortunate. I mean, when you talk about it on a financial point of view, I'm fortunate that I'm still earning money. Everybody else in my household is on no wages, or waiting for
yeah,
still waiting for the social security grant. So I'm the only breadwinner. I'm working 10 times harder, which is what I want to do, for half the money, because just simply because of the ratios have changed. I the way I've set up my business, being in the business for so long,
yeah,
I keep all the big ticket items, and I only do groups. Very seldom or rarely do you ever see me doing privates.
yeah.
Always I give my privates to the coaches, and now that I've been in a position where I can only do privates, I've been found wanting. So anyway, I've just adapted to it, and I've finally worked out a formula where I can actually still earn pretty decent money, but I'm working 10 times harder.
What is your personal opinion of the laws? Like, I'm not. This is not a political fucking debate, but
Yeah,
I find that it's a little bit over exaggerated.
yeah. Look,
Look, we'll save lives and shit, but realistically, people are still walking past each other. They're still running past each other. It's not like that would make a difference if you had four people in your group or if you had one. Is that correct?
yeah, I agree. I agree. And look, part of being on this lockdown, I've watched more and listened to more podcasts or watched more TV than I've ever done in my life. And so I watch a lot of that, the news channel CNN, and
Yeah,
every professor that they go on and speak about they'd say the safest place to be is outdoors, getting in the sunlight. The chance of you picking up, unless somebody actually directly sneezes on you or coughs in your face, it's unlikely. And I'm in a position where I've got 6 kilometres of park. I can't see why I can easily meet the social distancing require of 2 meters. I don't know why I can't do 10 at a time. It's, at the same time, while it will be helping me, I'll be helping the others as well. Mental health is a crucial thing. People use, and I use it as myself. It's my key strategy is outdoor fitness. For
yeah.
me, that's what I can do, and that's if I can't get access to that, I'm a lunatic.
Mate, we said this. You've already touched on the business aspect of what the lockdown's done. What do you think it's done to the athletic ability of some of your, like, you've got probably the best athletic roster in Australia.
Yeah,
Every the who's who of Australian sports trains with you.
yeah,
It's not because it's a in thing. It's because you get results. What
yeah.
do you think it's done to the guys you're working with? Has it pulled them back a bit in your abilities, or is it sombered them, or have they actually worked a little harder and got them a
Oh
little
no,
bit
you
ahead?
see, for them themselves, it's worked. It's worked brilliantly because um, they get to, as I said prior when we first started, I don't really do one-on-ones. So for them to have me all to themselves, I hope this doesn't sound I'm big noting myself, but it's an opportunity for them to get all my attention, my trained eye on top of them. And I'm starting to get results like Bronson Sherry, for example. I hope I can break that here first, but don't be surprised to start seeing this guy going absolutely berserk. The speed that he's built in the short period of time that we've been able to stay consistent, and me being able to have my attention to detail on him. Let this be a warning right now on your podcast for people to be able to see for themselves, and they'll say, okay, well, we heard it from that ugly wog. He told us himself.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. You'll see. And so the answer to your question is, I actually think the athletes themselves have benefited a lot better.
Yeah, it's look, I spend a lot of time with you. I spend a lot of time sitting on the sidelines watching my daughter. I've done a couple of sessions, but more agility stuff with you.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of knowledge to give. So getting that one-on-one time, which I rarely ever saw you do with anyone, would have to give results to like your Bronson Cherries, your Auto Cars, and the people you've been training. It has to make them better. Mate, talk about those names. Explain this fastest athlete in Australia. You competition you're running. It's all over the fucking news.
Yeah.
The who's who of Australian speedsters are all involved and sport athletes. What's it all about? When did it come about?
So unfortunately, more than likely now that the NRL are going back, it's unfortunate. Probably wasn't going to go ahead. So what I had an idea of doing, because I had all the top athletes coming to me. People were always hitting me up for content, and I'm 53. I haven't got time to be doing videos. I just want to go out there and coach. In actual fact, I don't even know how to do the videos really well. Or anything that you might see that's half decent on my social media, you can bet your life somebody else has done it for me, and I've just posted it. But I've had heaps of inquiries on DM. It's like, what can I do to get faster? I'm isolated. So I thought what I might try and do is entertain the end user. People are stuck indoors. Let me see if I can have all these athletes, prepare them with a coach. I have 16 coaches. You could follow their journey on social media, see how they're training, how they're coming together, and then set a certain date where I could even cross-code the players, where the NRL might take on, Cookie could take on Warner, and then maybe the Fox would take on Tom Wright from the Brumbies. I'd have all these head-to-heads go along. And it was all coming together smoothly until, don't get me wrong, I'm the first to be so happy that the NRL is back on, because at least I've got something to come back and watch on TV. So they were all the finals and all the heats were supposed to start this week, but the players are due back on Monday. And the government has now let out those ISO rules. They're not allowed to mingle with anybody except for their direct coaching staff. So it's impossible for me to get this going now. But the idea, I thought, had some legs. But I do have another ace up my sleeve. The girls are off, all the NRL girls, and I've got a hell of a lot of girls that have hit me up from all different codes, and they're not going to be coming back. So I'm going to start that challenge this week.
Really? Who's the dark horse here, mate?
I don't.
Is there anyone we don't know about?
I'm going to be selfish and say probably Kiana Takarangi, because she's my coach and she's going to be in it. But look, I've only not seen all the names, and I'm not really too familiar with the women's code. But I've had a lot of sevens girls hit me up. You probably know them better than I do. Yeah. But that all starts on the 8th. It's a Friday, the 8th, where they will all come together. I've got 17 girls. So maybe if I ever come back on here before the finals, I'll be able to give you a tip.
What did they win, mate? What's it for? Is it just for a title?
Well, no. So what happens is the 16 of my coaches are giving up their time. So they've won free coaching for 3 weeks at 2 sessions a week. And myself as well. I'll be coaching as well. So I'd hope to think that my coaching is worth some sort of currency. So they don't have to pay a cent. So they're going to get educated on how to be fast, and hopefully people will be entertained. They get to say that they're the fastest female athlete that's won the speed challenge. That's all I can give them. Interesting.
And hopefully that carries on to the end of the year, and you might be able to pull something off with the league and union boys. Yeah.
One thing that I can surely guarantee that I'll get the girls is I'll certainly get them some media coverage. What they want to do with that's up to them. But I'm hopefully by the time that they finish the challenge, people that do follow sport will at least know who the girls are.
Yeah. Mate, you Spoke about your ill abilities at sprinting, but obviously you must have fucking learnt something, right?
Yeah.
How did you come about sprinting? Why sprinting? And
Okay.
when did you start?
So I was a handy sprinter. So I always wanted to try. I was a person that if I do something, I do it, give it 100%. So most of the things that I gave 100% to turned disasters. Like I was fucked at everything. Everything that I tried to do, I delved in it. So if I wanted to hang with bad guys, I'd find the worst fucking gang to hang with, and sure enough, to get me into trouble. If I wanted to collect football cards, I had to have the set before anybody else. So that's just my personality. So I decided to try and be the best sprinter I could be. I understood that. I understood very early on at a very young age. You're obviously capped by your genetics. So some things are out of my own control of how good I could be. But my passion was to try and be the best athlete I could be. And in those days, you didn't have any internet, and certainly going overseas wasn't as affordable as it is now. We only had potentially one or two airlines flying to the US, and really the only way to educate yourself was just to go over and listen to people who were recognized with speed authority or had some knowledge, and they would run seminars. So I would work feverishly and save as much money as I could. And then I would take my annual leave, and that annual leave was always spent abroad trying to further my education. Not because I thought that I would ever become a speed coach. It was just for me, my own passion to try and be the best athlete I could be. Yeah. And then, cut a long story short, I got an opportunity with Anthony Minicillo.
Yeah.
He was having heaps of hassles with his back. He couldn't get on the football field. He tried everything that he could, all types of medicine, had operations, acupuncture, physiotherapy, whatever treatment there was available to him, he tried it. Just out of sheer frustration, I think one day he walked into the gym, and a guy that was working at the Roosters at the time, Harry Harrison, he knew me, and he said, look, this could be a long shot, but why don't you try and give Roger Fabri a call? It's a friend of mine I know. He knows a lot about speed. Maybe it's your mechanics when you're running that's putting too much pressure on your back, and that could be the contributing to why you're getting so much pain. Whether it was good fortune or good management, that year, Minnie ended up winning the Golden Boot and played more games than he ever played. And I got a little bit of publicity, and I used that to my advantage. I turned a snowball into an avalanche, and decided once I started to get a more and more of demand, I was still working. And trust me, Fidel, you know this better than anybody. I've been in the industry now 35 years, and fuck, people have got to walk before they can run. They don't understand how many free sessions I gave away for people to start talking about me. I've worked my ass off, and for years and years and years with no recognition whatsoever, nothing. And I would do session after session. If this was after I would do a normal 9-to-5 job, I would go down to local parks and ask guys if I could just train them. And eventually, I would like to think that my perseverance got me to this, to where I feel I deserve to be now.
So how did you find that transition from athlete to coach? Was it easy for you to come natural?
Easy. Yeah, easy, because I was in sales. So I had no problem. Whatever job I've ever had has been always dealing with the public. So I feel that's, if you ask me what's my greatest strength, is developing friendships like you and I have, and I have many of those. Obviously, probably not as strong as you and I have, but I have many. I'm a people person. I find it no problem getting on with people and understanding how to get the best out of people, and be able to talk both languages, from a person off the street or a person that behind a textbook. I can facilitate myself in both scenarios.
But what the listeners won't understand is when I like to speak to you, I'm friends with a lot of good, like the top sports scientists in this country.
Yeah.
When I speak to you, you sound like a sports scientist, right? So but you have no formal education.
That's right.
How have you learnt to understand the body mechanics so well? What is it you reckon sets you apart? What is it?
experience. So I being this old, when I've gone and travelled the world, and then I don't forget, I also have worked with 3 NFL teams. I've worked with the Dallas Cowboys. I've worked with the San Diego Chargers. I've also worked with the New York Jets. And again, how did I get my foot in the door? It was just by constant perseverance. The guy at San Diego Chargers who first gave me an opportunity, and that was a non-paying job. Don't forget, I travelled all the way over from Australia. And I asked him every year for 6 years straight. I would just turn up and say, is there anything that I could do here? On the 6th year, he finally said, look, you're not going to stop. And lucky he was still there, because usually, especially in the US, the coaching staff gets rotated. So if they don't succeed, the coaching staff just gets fucked straight on. Yeah. So lucky that this guy was still there 6 years in a row. Eventually gave me a job just running water. And how did I learn? So I would learn off watching and listening to other people, listening to the likes of Charlie Francis, Tom Tellers. I would go to and just sit and listen, and then use what I've learned. Had my own little group that didn't have any consequences if I failed or if I passed. And I would keep the drills that worked and get rid of the ones that didn't. So just time and experience. And then listening, then I understood how mechanics were put together. But my biggest asset is just having that. You have that. You develop a trained eye, and that trained eye, when I'm able to see flaws that most people can't see, because most of the athletes, as you know, come to me, they're pretty well put together. So to try and find that next level, that's not an easy job. Anyone can get a spastic to run okay. But getting somebody that's pretty good to go to the next level, that's not easy.
You're not shy to fucking tell them what you think. I think that's one of your strongest points, to be honest.
Absolutely, I think it is too. Most people are like, I keep it real. I always say to my clients, I'm not a cheerleader. You probably have many of those. You're very high profile. I'm a coach, and my job is to critique you, not to applaud you.
Yeah, that's actually well said. Yeah, really good, well said. You went to the US. You work with these 3 NFL teams. Yeah. So the San Diego Chargers, you were persistent. You got in, but then you worked with the Cowboys and who? 49ers.
So no, I went to the Jets first.
Jets.
Yeah, and that was it was almost like a transfer, because one of the guys that were at the Chargers ended up going to the Jets, and he knew of me, and he invited me along. Again, it was non-paying.
Yeah.
But then when I was on the East Coast, I got some recognition with that Goldfeet. Remember, I brought him out here, and so he got an opportunity for me to work with some players there, and they started talking about me. And then Michael Johnson from the Michael Johnson Performance Center, who is the direct partner of the Dallas Cowboys, I got an invitation to go up there, and that's when it sort of started coming together for me.
How was that, especially that most recent Dallas Cowboys, the #1 sporting franchise in the world?
Yeah.
How was that to work in their facilities and with that? We're talking about a $7 billion company compared to a $1 million athlete. What's the difference? How much of a difference is there?
So I think the gaps now lessened. So if we had a scale, I'd say that Australia is starting to claw back a little bit. There used to be I used to say that we're about 5 years behind them. But in particular, that year was 2009 that I started at the Cowboys, 9 or 10, I can't remember. But I was also working at the Roosters then at the same time. So going from the Roosters, who are working out of a small shack, then walking into what you see at the Dallas Cowboy, it was just mind-blowing. It was like, oh my God, this is just, I'd hasten to say this, and you probably still see now. I don't know if the Roosters facilities have improved all that much, but you probably see private schools have got better setups than the #1 club in the NRL right now.
Yeah.
So it was, for me, it was gobsmacking. I couldn't believe the difference in the setup. But what I will say is that I didn't feel that we were so far behind as far as the coaching was concerned. Certainly the facilities and what's available to the players, but the knowledge, I didn't feel it was that far behind. I certainly now have no surprise to see a lot of Australians in the US doing a lot of sports science at the highest level.
how about physically, as in athletes wise? Like, how far do you think we are behind them in physicality? Obviously, there's a lot of how can we say it? Talk stuff that's not talked about much. There is, from the best of my knowledge, some PED use some weight in the off season with those sports, or they're not as strict as we are. But in saying that, they are physical specimens. How far are we behind? You'll see it firsthand.
It's very difficult to ascertain, when you're talking about how far are we behind, because unfortunately, we're not comparing apples for apples. I give you a lot of respect to our athletes. Let's talk the NRL code, for example.
Yeah.
They play offense and defense and play 80 minutes. And you're comparing it to an NFL where they only specialize in one movement. They mainly only specialize in offense, and the wide receivers, they come as ex-track athletes. So they've got speed to burn. The guys that play the linesmen have got power to burn, but that's all they do. So they get a rest, they come back on. It's very hard to determine. You look at what Hayne did was probably one of the greatest Australian sporting achievements of all time. I don't care.
Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable.
Disregard what type of person he is or what your opinion of him. To me, I have a lot for him to thank. He certainly put me on the map. He's what he did, because I know firsthand. He rang me up that day and said, I'm going to go and try in the NFL. The guy didn't even know how to read a playbook.
Yeah.
And still went over there. I think that they entertained him as a circus at the start. And I also thought that he wouldn't get it. But when I was waking up and putting on my live stream and watching his preseason games, I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
And so for him to make a roster, that's got to be one of the greatest sporting achievements in Australian history.
Oh, well, the other thing was he's from personal experience, because I know Jared as well. He's the greatest athlete I've ever met. He can pick up anything and just do it. And he's great at it. But you saw when he went over there, and he told me when he got after his first season, he come back and he was just talking about how it was so hard, how hard it was trying to keep up with everyone, and how in shape you have to stay, and how there's so much more to the exercises and so much more.
It is so specific, Fidel. This is where the difference is. You asked me, what's the difference? How far are we behind? Everything they do is very specific. We are very generalized. So I think we're heading towards that way. We're certainly getting that way. You can even see in our game, you've seen it yourself now with the NRL, they have a backs coach, they have a forwards coach.
Yeah.
They're now starting to get specific development coaches. They're getting specific wrestling coaches. You were there yourself doing specific boxing stuff. They're getting me sometimes to do specific speed. The US is all about that. They build the athlete personally. Your own. They don't look at you as a team, as a category. They look at you, how do I make you be the best athlete possible? Everybody is specific. Their program is not generalized. It's all specific.
Yeah, and it's probably why they're so easily readily get rid of their players as well. It's if they develop them, they don't work. Fuck off. See you later. We'll try a new one.
Absolutely, but they've got a population that can sustain that. And how many Jared Haynes do you have sitting on the sidelines in Sydney? Not many. You can't.
Only one. Only one. His fucking doesn't come back to fat shit.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So there's a million of those guys. They want to fuck up. They fuck you off.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's why, that's the other difference there. It's I'm trying to look for the most appropriate word. It's you've got to be like an animal, but you've got to survive there. So you've got to bring your game all the time, every time, because there's a guy just waiting for you to fuck up. And if they get that opportunity, they're like vultures. They'll get an opportunity, they'll shine, and then you've got to try and win your own place back.
Well, mate, you see it with Cam Newton. Takes them to a Super Bowl, wins the MVP, has 2 all right seasons, 1 bad season. They fuck him off. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I actually don't know what happened to him. He was awful last year.
It's something about his foot. He keeps on. Something about a crack in his foot or something in his foot.
The guy's a beast. I think that his game needs more than just a human battering ram, but that's him.
Yeah. He's a fucking great runner of the ball.
Right.
Mate, Yeah, obviously there's close relationships we keep talking about with the biggest names in Australian sports.
Yeah.
That comes not because of who you are, but what kind of results you give, right? How do you find, or how do you manage to prioritize that portfolio? Like,
That's hard. That's a
I
good
have
question.
it sometimes because I train a lot of athletes, boxers, right?
Yeah.
And especially now, I'm getting every rugby league,
Yeah.
rugby union.
That's a great
Um,
question.
how do you say, well, is it a financial thing? Is it, and this is business, mate. I know we're all friends, but you got to feed your fucking family too.
Yeah.
How do you prioritize actually who actually gets that time? And obviously the smaller fish miss out.
Yeah, that's a great question. Gee, that's a good question. Well, I'm probably have very much the same values of yourself. Um, I'm extremely loyal, extremely. I pride myself on that. And as I said before, a lot of these athletes, you know, whilst they got my knowledge, they got me. They got a chance for me to get on the map because for me to able to work with them, as I said, I don't really promote myself so much on social media. They usually go. I usually let them do the talking for me. So I always feel that because they got me where I am, they're always going to have priority. So I've been fortunate enough to grow my business. I've got 16 coaches now that work underneath me, and the small fish have to sometimes go to my coach because I owe it to the person that helped me get where I am, to always give them myself whenever I can.
Mate, and this is for the listeners. Let's just get this straight as well. We're saying small fish like it's a bad thing. Believe me, Roger's with the 10-year-old, 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds as well at training. I see it all. My daughter used to train him for 3 years. So I see it, and I know you still do it.
Yeah.
So he still does give back to the youth. But again, the issue you would have is you probably have one of the best rosters of an individual coach in
Yeah.
any Australian sports, right? Outside, like a wrestling coach or a boxing coach, or whatever, you'd have the best athletes in this country. It's
Yeah.
just, how would you say, sorry, mate, you can't do it today because blah, blah's picked it
No,
instead?
so, I tell you what, the benefit, I've actually worked that disadvantage to an advantage. You know what I can say sometimes? How would you like to train with Sonny Bill today?
Yeah, that's that, and you have done that. That's actually the right way to do it because you're actually putting people two different people that haven't met each other. You see it regularly. You put them together, and
Yeah,
they're becoming, and not just training well together, they become friends. I see a
absolutely.
lot of people that you bring together and they stay together. So
Yeah,
it's probably a good thing, to be honest.
it is a good thing. And they bring one thing that I can't bring is they bring their experience of being able to play at the highest level and share that experience and give that energy, and which almost becomes contagious. And the athletes want to. They even bring another level that I don't usually see because of that hierarchy that's there, or most of them are their idols that get a chance to train in the same environment. It really brings a positive out of them. But I always said this to myself that um, you're right. It does put food on my table, and that's probably why I'm still driving a shit car. Is because I still have those values of always making sure that I look after the people that help me get where I want.
Yeah. Um, it's something about your environment too. I think, mate. It's very humbling for the athletes that come there. I've been there for years, obviously, and watching everyone come through there. I knew most of them. Some of them I didn't know. Like Big Willie Mason, I wasn't
Yeah,
friends with him, but
yeah,
just watching him train with your group, you're
yeah,
talking about the man mountain, probably the biggest man in the world.
yeah.
Um,
You started to. I'm started to
Training
lose.
with my daughter, she's 15. Am I losing you?
Yeah, now you came
Wait, let
back.
me call you back.
Okay,
Am I back?
you're back now. You're
Are we
back.
cool? All right. So yeah, you got Willie at the age of probably 35 years old,
Yeah,
training with my 15-year-old daughter that's half his size, but
yeah.
they've been best mates for the last 10 years,
I.
and
He's
it's a
out.
very comforting training environment.
Yeah,
And I think that's what your sessions do. It creates a comfortable environment because you can be a complete arsehole to everyone, but everyone's still in a good mood. And
yeah.
you are a complete arsehole to everyone, believe me.
Yeah, and it's so. Look, I have to be honest. Everybody that comes down there that's got some type of profile has been fabulous with all the kids and all the groups that come down there. I really love that. I don't know. I can't name one of them that's brought an attitude. they've all come down there. They're humble. They've mixed with my group. I think that's a real asset. I'm really fortunate. I'm blessed to have that.
Yeah, it's actually very comforting for a parent to see. I'll tell you that much.
It certainly is. It certainly is.
Mate, now we touched on this right at the start. Probably one of the best things about you, mate, is I really like this about you. It's a bit. Look, people take it wrong way sometimes. I take it like this is. It takes a lot of courage to do this. You're a massive activist for mental health, right?
Yeah.
You got no dramas in talking about what you've been through in the past, what you are still going through right now.
Yeah.
Mate, would you like to explain like what's kind of attributed to these problems, and is it something that you just can't explain that it happens, or what is it that tips you over the edge sometimes?
Oh, gee, I look back at even my I didn't really know what it was, but now that I'm older, I can identify and relate to it. Even when I was young, I suffered with anxiety. I've always been anxious. I don't know what it is. I'm extremely like a nervous person. I'm always very cautious, very careful. I'm not a dare taker or a what do you call it? A guy that takes risks. I'm not a risk taker.
Yeah.
So I'm very cautious in everything I do. But then I'm also, I've always been sort of mollycoddled by my dad. So I've always had that wild, which I really cherish, and I miss it so much. Even just talking about it now, sort of, I relate back to having that environment. But my father's always been very stringent as me, trying to be the person that will follow in his footsteps, look after my brother, look after my mother, look after our extended family financially, and I do that. But coming with that there's a lot of pressure. I don't know if that's the pressure that led to my anxiety. I couldn't say that. I just think I was born with that. Mm-hmm. And then when Dad was really, really sick, I was, you saw me there at that time as well. And when Dad passed, I was suicidal. I remember actually even saying to you, you asked me to do a session for you, and I said to you, I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget you after. And you said, I couldn't even see any difference in you. And I think that was just an automatic response, because if you asked me what I coached that day, I was in a blur. I can't even remember. But, mental health has been a big part of my life, all my life. And I wish that I had done something I've always combated it on my own tools, because in those days early on, mental health wasn't spoken about. It wasn't nice. It wasn't normal to speak about mental health. It certainly wasn't as prevalent as it is right now. People, there's so many institutions that you can go to get help. There's Lifeline and et cetera, et cetera. There's endless amounts of assistance through social media. But I was all by myself when I was dealing with it. And in an ethnic family, it was like, they didn't understand it. It was like a curse. My dad thought that somebody put a curse on me, because, I went from being a normal guy to a guy who was, didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to get out of the house. I was always anxious. So I learned my own strategies to deal with it. And exercise was was my savior. It was the only thing that was really working for me to be still functional. I was able to go to, I went to all different types of therapy. Nothing worked as good as exercise. But unfortunately, when Dad passed away, as I said to you, I was suicidal. Nothing could get me out of the hole, and I didn't want to lose all the business. And I worked so hard to get going. And I was frightened that was all going to fall apart, because the business at that stage was heavily reliant on myself. Even though I did have some coaches, I still needed to be there all the time, and I still do need to be there all the time. So I seeked help. And I started to see a counsellor, and I finally got myself on an antidepressant. And I have to be honest, it's been the best thing I've ever had. It's like I now know what it feels like to be normal. I've lived in pain for 30 years. I thought that was normal, and I used to always tell everybody. I used to say, God, life's so overrated. I don't understand what the fuss is all about. I'll be honest. I can't wait till I fuck off. This is exhausting. And now that I've found what it's like to be normal, I wish that I could have been on it 30 years ago, because I now so enjoy getting up and, I've put on a little bit of weight. I've lost my sex drive a bit, but who gives a fuck? I don't want to kill myself every day. Life's good now. And my coaching, wow, it's gone to another level.
Well, is it now? They call it drug of dependency. So like you'd be sick, like diabetic, or do you see that as this antidepressant as a? I've never been on them. I've been through some dark days. Obviously, I've dealt with it differently. So I understand what you're going through, and I think look, everyone's been through it.
Yeah.
Everyone deals with things different ways. Do you think it should be seen as a drug of dependency? Because there is a lot of debate about overuse of it, over medication.
Yeah.
It's obviously helped you, but man, look, as you said, you wouldn't even know that you had issues after your father. Yeah, after your father died, actually, you weren't the greatest, but a month later, you would think you're back to normal. You hit it well, but do you think that this antidepressants is something that is really important for you to stay on? Like it might be genetic, or you might need it forever.
I think you need to deal with that on a personal level, and everybody's character and everybody how they react to things is different. I used to think that antidepressants were taboo. I was like, fuck, I'm not going on them. I don't want to be dependent on anything. I can deal with this myself. As I said, and I probably would have gone. I've had 2 breakdowns, Fidel. I had one when I was 29, and I did it. I got over it medication free, but it took me 18 months. Fuck, it took so long for me to get through it. And so when this happened the second time with Dad, and I was much worse this time, I'm like, I don't have 18 months. I don't have 18 months I don't have that time. I need help. I need something. And then so for me, I can compare the way I feel now to how I was before. No problem whatsoever. I wouldn't be able to talk this long and sustain concentration with you this long before had I not been on them. I know the type of person I was. I used to have, let me see, and this is no over exaggeration. If we had 7 days a week, I'd have 2 good ones out of the 7. The other 5 would be shit. Now it's the other way around. I have 5 good ones and 2 bad ones. It's heaps.
That's normal now. That's normal.
I
have 4 and 3 ratio. Yeah, it is normal. That is normal.
I have 5. That's so good. I can handle that.
Yeah.
It's heaps better than the other way around. That's why I said I can handle adversity, because my life was adversity. Every day was a fucking challenge to get up out of bed. It's like I have to put my makeup on and pretend I'm a clown. You'll find that people that are with these outgoing personalities are the ones that actually suffer in silence.
Well, you're pretty well known for your dance moves and your videos with your old man. Your old man was a bit of a crooner back in the day. He used to be a singer and stuff. So obviously you got the performing side from him. But mate, was that like you just said? It was a question I was about to ask. Was it a masking?
Yeah.
Like, was it just masking some type of pain, or you were trying to hide something? Is that?
It was both. It was an opportunity.
So, it was some good ass videos. It was very funny.
Yeah, I knew there were going to be 2 things. There were going to be therapy for me when Dad passed away, because I wanted to keep as many memories as I could. I had a very strong relationship with my father, very, very close. He would do anything for me, and vice versa. As you can see in the videos, I made him look crazy, stupid, and we had fun. But it was also for that hour or hour and a half, I'd escape myself.
Yeah, even the funeral, as sad as it was, and I know how much you heard, it was actually one of the better funerals I've been to. Like, it was a bit of energy in there and stuff. It was really nice.
Yeah,
just seeing all the old videos of your old man. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought not because it was just me, but
it was.
I didn't have much money. But that was the perfect send off for Dad. I really, really, really cherished that day. It worked so well. You there?
Yeah, are we going to see a comeback? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Rog?
Yeah, I got you.
You got me?
Yeah.
Are we going to see a comeback? Are you going to dust off those dance shoes?
You know what? I want to come back, but fucking TikTok's fucked me up. TikTok now, everybody's dancing now. I've been doing TikTok fucking.
You can't do it, can you?
Huh? Fucking TikTok.
You're the fucking black belt in TikTok.
Yeah, I should own TikTok. I've been doing TikTok for 10 years. Now everybody's doing it, so I've got to find something else to do now.
Oh shit! But I got some viewer questions.
Go ahead.
We got a bloke named Mahesh Yaganathan. I don't know if you know him. He's asked if you only, and I know the answer to this because I've heard you talk to me about this before. If he only had to pick one session, what would it be? How would it manage the trade-off between speed and strength?
If you only had to pick one session, what would it be?
Yeah.
Mahesh knows me very well, and it's a great question. And I think that's a question that he asked so that make sure that your viewers know this. Don't look for any substitute when you're trying to build speed than sprinting. That's the best form of building speed. Forget about it. If you can't get any feedback on the way you sprint, that's irrelevant. At least expose yourself to velocity. Just make sure it's fast. Yes, speed, to develop speed, mechanical correction is critically important, but please don't run away from sprints because that is the best form of speed development. You can't grow speed in the gym. You're dreaming.
Yeah. Oh, we've had this conversation before. It was a very technical conversation. Yeah. Brendan Smith from Queensland's asked, how important are flexibility sessions for speed performance?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I get asked this question quite often. I like the athlete to be to do what they want to do as far as flexibility is concerned. But you think about it. If you keep lengthening the muscle and keep lengthening, then that muscle becomes very relaxed and it can't produce power because it's long. So it's similar to if I hit you with an open hand, it's going to hurt a lot less than if I hit you with a closed fist. So a tight muscle is a powerful muscle, but it just can't be too tight. You've got to find what works for you, the happy medium. But one thing that I can say, don't stretch in between your sessions while the session's going on. The muscle is already lengthening and contracting when you're trying to produce speed. So just leave it, let it be. You don't have to constantly, that's going to put you in a higher risk as far as soft tissue injury is concerned. And to be honest, if you ask me, I would rather a tight athlete than a very flexible one.
Really? That's good to know. Fuck, that's first time I heard that. But it makes sense. It does make a lot of sense. And a lot of your, are you there, Rog?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of your athletes are pretty high strung, aren't they? When you think about it.
They are.
A lot of your best ones are high strung, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. All right. Last question. What's a typical warm-up session prior to sprinting at full pace?
Oh, my God. Who asked this question?
This is Brendan Smith as well.
Okay, so they tell this bloke that he should come and see me because I'm going to.
He lives in Queensland.
Yeah, well, it'd be worth his
I can tell him because I've seen it about 1,000 times.
Okay, so I tell him I have, and you can tell whoever watches this, I have the most explosive and powerful preparation that I've put together myself, and I'm happy to put this on record that nobody can touch.
Yeah, we heard it again. We heard it first. Don't mess with fucking Rogers' techniques.
Come and have a fucking look and try it yourself. And then when you finish with it, if you don't get a response from my athletes, then you can have my reputation.
Oh, he's not. If you reckon you're old, Rog, this guy's way past this bloke. He's ex-footy player. Hey, all right, we're back. We're at the end of the interview, but we have the 1 minute wonder, mate. It's I ask you a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
You give me the first answer that comes to your mind, okay? If you don't want to answer it, don't answer it. But I'd love, you're the kind of person that will just throw someone to the wolves. So who cares?
Go ahead.
All right. The most natural athlete you've ever trained?
Sonny Bill Williams. Oh, I lost you.
The fastest. Have you got me again?
Yeah, I got you now.
Hello?
Yeah, I got
Rog?
you. Yeah, I got you.
You got me?
Yeah.
Am I clear?
Yeah.
All right. The fastest athlete you've trained?
Are we talking about personalities or just you want personalities? Obviously, don't you?
Fastest. Like who's the quickest athlete? Like it doesn't have to be a footy player. It could be a sprinter.
No, but
and how fast were they?
I can give you a guy, but nobody would know who he is. So
we want to know
personality, huh?
Let us know who he is. We want to see this person. Who is it?
Guy that I've trained with and had an influence some influence has been Linford Christie.
Linford Christie. You train with Linford Christie?
I didn't train him as a coach, but I worked with him when he was stationed out here at Narrabeen.
Wow, how good's that? All right.
That was phenomenal.
Yeah, oh mate, legend. The toughest athlete you've trained?
The toughest athlete, physically or mentally?
Mentally tough. Mentally, just never gives up.
You're going to laugh here. I'm going to say Todd Carney. He's had more comebacks and more shit put on him than I've ever seen. He can still get to his feet and go again.
The John.
Yeah. I've lost you.
The other side of it, you got me?
Yeah,
Lost me again?
Yeah, I got you again. Got you.
The laziest athlete you've trained?
The laziest athlete I've ever trained. Zach Lowe.
Who's popped him for one session? Zach Lowe has, really?
Yeah.
All right, who's the fastest player in your opinion in rugby league today?
Well, the clock doesn't lie, and so far the fastest athlete that I've had go down there is the Fox, but he had very good conditions to his on that day, and I don't know. I don't think there'd be a split here between him and Bronson Sherry right now.
It's interesting. We're going to see that, and it's if fucking the Fox plays after all the shit.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he doesn't get too much crap.
No, you keep
team in the NBA. Has it changed?
Start again.
You got me?
You froze. Yeah.
Your favorite team in the NBA?
Oh, you know they're my favorite.
Oh, still okay.
Yeah, they
see.
are.
I thought you.
No, I'm not going to change. No, they are my favorite team still.
All right. Well, who's the next champs of the NBA? Because I know you're a big NBA buff. Who's the next champs?
Lakers.
LeBron or Steph?
LeBron.
So obviously Lakers or Clippers?
Lakers.
Lakers?
Yeah.
Who's your NRL team, mate?
Don't have one. Train too many players. I go for the players, not for the teams.
Oh, come on. You got to have someone.
I grew up loving South.
That's how I am too sometimes. You are loving South?
I grew up loving South.
Very fast backline. Have you worked with Benny the Jet?
I want to. I wish I could show you his DM. He's like, he's another one who keeps promising and he hasn't turned up.
All right. Who's the greatest athlete in history?
Jordan.
Last question. Are you a fight fan? We never really talk about this.
I'm not really. I don't mind watching it, but I know you are.
Who wins in a street fight? A boxer or UFC fighter?
I'm going to say UFC. You're probably going to correct me and say it's probably a boxer.
You
UFC?
pick the UFC fighter, right?
I pick a UFC. I don't know. I'd say UFC.
Yeah, I'm so against it. Yes, I'm a boxing fan.
I know. But
all the footy people always pick UFC because they can't fight.
Well, you probably know better than me. I don't know anything about it, but that's all I see is UFC.
It's your opinion, Rog, brother. Thank you so much for your time, man. Like it's actually really cool that the first coach I've had on this is yourself. You've got so much knowledge to give. Mate, I'll have you on here again. That's hopefully before this next race, eh? We'll cheat up a bit and try and get this out there with the girls, huh?
Mate, I just want to say to you, just a special thanks for being a friend. You know, you've always been there for me, so it means a lot. Thank you.
Easy as, brother. You're the man. Thanks, Rog. You're a legend, brother.
Bye.
I'll speak to you soon, my man. See you, brother.
Bye.
Bye.